One Piece chapter 981 was a great chapter for numerous reasons, but the one moment that set it apart was obviously Marco showing up at the end of the chapter, knocking down Big Mom's ship and all that, right? That was a super hype moment, and that got a lot of people excited, not only because it was mad hype that Marco showed up, but it also opens up the story. Now there's a lot of different story elements and directions Oda could take with both the WANO arc and the war, but also developing Marco and the Whitebeard Pirates and giving us more information in general. And even the little time that Marco and Nekomamushi and Izo were shown at the end of the chapter, they gave us some valuable information that we could kind of use to predict what's going to happen next. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be taking all the information and breaking it down to see how Marco could change this war, and we're going to try to predict where the story can go next. So I want to start off with what we already know about both Marco and the Whitebeard Pirates. So Marco, obviously he was introduced at Marineford as the 1st Division commander for the Whitebeard Pirates, Whitebeard's right-hand man, but he didn't start off that way. We recently learned in the flashback that Marco had been on the ship, Whitebeard's ship, since he was 15 at least. He was just an apprentice then, and obviously he developed a relationship with Odin through their adventures before Odin left with Roger, and that's obviously going to tie back to Marco's role in WANO and his motivations. But just the fact that Marco was on the ship since he was 15, we now know he's been on the ship for at least 30 years, right? He's 45 now, he was 15 then, so he's on that ship for a long time, and it seems like he never left the ship, as far as we know, because there were other members there with Marco who were part of the crew. They eventually left, became their own captains, and became just allies of the Whitebeard Pirates. But Marco, it looks like he steadily climbed his way up and became Whitebeard's right-hand man. That not only reinforces his relationship with Whitebeard and the trust Whitebeard had in him, but also shows how strong he is, right? He is top Yonko commander level. Now, I know Marco has not showcased his strength. He has taken a lot of L's as well, even during Marineford, where he showcased a lot of his strength, but he, did a lot of stuff at Marineford as well. I don't want to, let's not downplay that. He went up against all 3 admirals and delivered some damage of his own. Kicked out Kiji when he was about to attack Luffy, also kicked Kizaru as well, and even when Akainu was trying to kill Luffy, Marco kind of fought back with his own Phoenix powers. And that segues to his Devil Fruit, which is the Tori Tori no Mi model Phoenix, the bird fruit model Phoenix. It's a mythical zone Devil Fruits, and not only does it give him flight powers and a little extra strength probably, but the main ability is regeneration. Not only is he able to heal others, but he could quickly regenerate himself to the point where Kizaru's just shooting him with lasers, and he's just absolutely fine because even as it pierces him, he just quickly regenerates with the Phoenix Flames. But despite his strength, he really hasn't had a great time since Marineford. Obviously, Marineford, big loss for the Whitebeard Pirates, right? Lost Ace, lost Whitebeard, and then Marco was kind of just thrusted into this captain role, and he decided to go with the revenge route to attack Blackbeard. Maybe not the smartest decision, but he saw 2 of his brothers die, Thatch and Ace, by the hand of Blackbeard, and then of course Whitebeard die. So he went with the payback war, trying to pay back Blackbeard for what he did, and that it goes downhill from there because he takes even more L's. They get decimated by the Blackbeard Pirates. They lose their Yonko status. They lose so bad they scatter and go into hiding essentially. So by that point they're essentially retired and done with the whole pirate game. But they can't even do that, right? Because Weevil's big ass starts tumbling in looking for a non-existent treasure and starts hunting down the Whitebeard allies and the Whitebeard crew. And poor Marco can't even really just chill. So the last time we saw him, he was on Sphinx Island, pretty much retired, just protecting that island that Whitebeard essentially used all his fortune for. Sphinx Island is just this island of civilians from war-torn countries, kind of the situation that Whitebeard grew up in. That's why he created that safe haven of island, and Marco thought that Weevil would probably come there next, so he kind of just retired as a doctor there and protected that village. So when Nekomamushi went to recruit him for the war, he said nah. Right, so we thought, okay, Marco is not coming, right? He shut Nekomamushi down. He's not going to show up. But lo and behold, One Piece chapter 981, here he is knocking off the Big Mom Pirates. So the first question we have to answer is, why is he here? Now, I already made a video, a theory video that talked about Marco potentially arriving to Wano. I'll link it there. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But essentially, it made a lot of sense to me. So this moment didn't really surprise. It was surprising how early it came, but the fact that he actually came didn't really surprise me. So we could break this down two ways. First, logically speaking, his conversation with Nekomamushi. To me, that sounded like a start of a conversation. Because at the end of the conversation where he's talking to Nekomamushi and he rejects him, he says, "Please deliver this message to Straw Hat. You said he was going to WANO, right?" Like it was a question as to whether or not he was going to WANO. Now, if everything was already explained by Nekomamushi, like he wouldn't be questioning if they were going to WANO. Obviously, they would be going to WANO because that's where they're from. That's why they're avenging like Odin. Kaido is there. That's the whole situation. He wouldn't be questioning whether or not Luffy would be there. So the conversation might have been just starting with Nekomamushi saying, "Hey, I just met Straw Hat Luffy. I know you know him. We're about to like go to a war and like we need some help. We're about to go to Wano for a war." And then Marco shut it down real quick. He says, "Look, I can't do it. Weevil's coming and I gotta protect this village." So maybe the situation wasn't properly explained by Nekomamushi. So once it like was fully like explained and Marco understood, he was like, "Oh, he's going against a Yonko. He's in serious danger. And I know Whitebeard's last message to me was that I can't let Luffy die and he could really die here." And my theory with that really gets reinforced a little more in the anime scene, because at the end of it, the anime adds an extra scene where Nekomamushi says, "We're going after Kaido," and Marco is like super shocked. I know anime stuff isn't canon, but a lot of times, they add a little extra stuff that Oda like approves and allows the story to get a little more depth and explanation. I'm still curious as to maybe why Marco didn't know about the whole Wano situation and maybe Odin's whole like history and what happened to that, and maybe why Whitebeard like didn't take action against Kaido when Odin suffered this great like tragedy. I hope that definitely gets explained through Marco and the Whitebeard Pirates arriving in Wano. But as to why he came, the first thing is obviously the conversation wasn't fully explained and he didn't really understand the situation. But then you still have the issue of Weevil, right? Who he's worried about attacking Sphinx Village. But if remember, last we saw Weevil, he was getting attacked by Marines, and the Shichibukai system was demolished. Now, Weevil, it looked like it was just fodder Marines that got sent to him, but it's possible the Marines, they know how strong the Shichibukai are. I don't think they would just send random fodder to all of them like that. Like Mihawk sending a bunch of Marines to die against him, that would just be dumb. I'm guessing they sent some strong people, so maybe not like an admiral per se, but maybe like a bunch of vice admirals. Maybe Gion Tokikage gets some shine against Weevil and they sent there. So maybe Marco finds out about that situation and information. He's like, okay, I have a little bit of time to leave Sphinx Island and go protect Luffy and help with this war, and that's why logically he leaves. Storytelling wise, it makes even more sense because number one, this is a Yonko saga, and this is one thing I'm starting to believe a little more, that perhaps all of the Yonko show up in Wano, because, think about it. Wano's been built up since Punk Hazard. And if we're thinking maybe Gecko Moria and Blackbeard shows up, that's tying like Wano's like build up since all the way back in Thriller Bark. And I recently made a video on whether or not Blackbeard and Gecko Moria will show up to Wano. Check that out if you haven't. But Wano being the peak like arc of the Yonko saga would make sense. The saga's already very long. I can't imagine it having two more big arcs like focused on Blackbeard and like Shanks and stuff. So all of them coming together, already we have Big Mom and Kaido, two of them. Marco just showed up, a former Yonko. Luffy is seen as the fifth Yonko. We only have Blackbeard and Shanks left. And Blackbeard, last time we saw him, he was with Moria, who has a lot of ties to Wano and Kaido. And then Shanks, last we saw him, he was talking about a certain pirate, so he could be going after Blackbeard. So it could be this chain reaction where everybody just shows up at the end and we get this big epic brawl that everybody's been hyping up about. Now, if you think that's too far-fetched, it still makes a lot of sense storytelling-wise, because the Straw Hats and the Samurai Alliance needed a lot of help. They have Big Mom and Kaido and their crews, and like Marco arriving right away, already they knocked down the Big Mom pirates. So like there's a lot of the forces for the other side taken down already, right? So like for them to take down two Yonko, they definitely needed a massive power boost in their numbers and like strength. And so Marco and the Whitebeard Pirates, who were shown during the flashback as well, them coming back and helping there, it just adds up. And then the final thing is like Weevil and the Whitebeard Pirates, that whole storyline, that had to be brought back into the story to make it like get fleshed out and like fully find a conclusion. So that's why to me it made a lot of sense for the Whitebeard Pirates to come back and why they are here. And but now they're here. And they didn't show them for very long, but I still think we got a lot of valuable information. So let's break that down real quick. What the first image that we see of Marco, he mentions the Big Mom and Kaido alliance. Now this, I think, slipped a lot of people's like minds because they saw this epic panel of Marco and didn't really digest what he was saying. Like the Big Mom Kaido alliance, even we saw like the Big Mom Pirates didn't know anything about it, and nobody else really knows besides say the Marines because of Sword and X Drake, and also the Beast Pirates obviously, and then the Samurai Alliance because the Beast Pirates leaked it to them, right? Nobody else knows about this, so Marco knowing about it, that's a big thing to me. Like how does he know? Is that just showing like the Whitebeard Pirates informational network is still very strong, and maybe that ties to like him knowing about Weevil's situation with the Marines? But yeah, that's a really big thing in my opinion, and that definitely needs to get explained. But the next thing is kind of Marco showing off his strength. He kicks the Big Mom Pirate ship down the same way King did, so kind of showing they're both on the top tier Yonko level. I don't think this is a moment to really take it that deep. It's for many reasons. One is kind of gaggy to like have this repetition of exactly what happened. I don't want to take this as a power scaling moment saying the Big Mom Pirates are weak or like Marco is super strong. Because remember when King took them down the first time, Big Mom was on that ship. So people saying like, why couldn't Smoothie do anything or Peril Sparrow? Big Mom couldn't even do anything the first time around. So like, you know, what are you expecting Peril Sparrow? You can't knock Peril Sparrow and Smoothie and Daifuku for not doing anything. But Marco knocking them down is important. And also what he says to them is very deep in my opinion as well. So what he says to them is, by the time you guys get back up here, it might look like a new age. So that right there shows you that Marco is here, number one, to fight, right? He's not here to help Luffy escape or something like that. And number two, it sounds like he's ready to win. And for somebody who's taking so many L's in Marineford and the Payback War and like with Weevil, him like having that confidence and ready to have like go all out in another war again is like showing me like maybe he brought more people with him, right? He knows about the alliance of Big Mom and Kaido. He's going up against 2 Yonko this time. He took a massive L against just one of them last time. So like if he just showed up with Nekomamushi and Izo, that really doesn't make sense to me of him just be like, oh yeah, we're ready, about to win this war now. Like we got waxed last time against 1 Yonko, but just the 3 of us, we got this. Just 3 of us with Luffy and the Samurai, this will be enough. It's gonna be a new age because of this. I don't think that confidence would make sense if he didn't bring more help with him. And then him actually knocking the Big Mom Pirates down, him saying like, by the time you guys get back up here again, that's important because the last time King knocked them down was like weeks ago, right? Am I wrong? Like it was a long time ago. It took them a long time to get back up here. Now this, it kind of balances the scale of the war a little bit because now you're taking like another Sweet Commander and Daifuku and Parasparrow and some strong people from the Big Mom crew and taking them out of action for a while. Now I don't want to see them taken out completely because listen, Smoothie, that would just make Smoothie even more useless. Like, come on, like Smoothie didn't do anything in Whole Cake Island. Obviously, you want to focus more on the Beast Pirates, and it makes sense for the Big Mom Pirates to get sidelined for a while. But I do want to see them come back and get their, especially Smoothie, get a little more shine, and maybe Peril Sparrow fighting Carrot as well. Now, the next scene we see is Nekomamushi and Izo's dialogue and where they are. So they're climbing up the waterfall as the Big Mom Pirate ship is falling down, and that ship is the Guardian ship for Nekomamushi and his people. Now, we don't see anybody else on that ship, and we don't see any other ships. Now, people might be thinking that means, like, there's no other Whitebeard crews here. It's just them. It could be just them and, like, the other division, like, commanders, like Vista and Jozu and, like, other people. I know I should know them off the top of my head. There's so many of them, though. And Vista and Jozu and Marco and, like, Ace were really the ones in the forefront. So, yeah, it could be, like, it just the division commanders are there, or maybe they're all, like, just weren't shown. They show up later as another hype moment. And the last thing I want to touch on is Izo's dialogue about Marco. And I mentioned this in my chapter review, but him saying, like, this is the first time Marco has gone at it or fought since the war. It's like, it really breaks down Marco's character. I'm excited to see that get expanded upon a little more. Because think about Marco, right? We talked about how long he was on Whitebeard's ship and him possibly staying that whole time and slowly climbing his way up and seeing Whitebeard as such a father figure because he was there since he was a teenager. And obviously during Marineford, we saw how close these two were. Like Marco was always by his side. Really, Marco is one of the few people that really looked to Whitebeard as a father figure. Like they all saw him as a dad, but Marco maybe a little more because of how long he was with him and how he was a kid when he joined Whitebeard's crew. Now take that information and think about the burden Marco had to bear when Whitebeard died. So Whitebeard dies, his father figure dies, and he already had essentially two brothers die already with Thatch and Ace. And they pretty much lost that war. That war was a big L for them. They really didn't accomplish the mission they set out to do and also lost their dad. And then Marco essentially gets thrusted into the captain role, right? And he's nowhere near Whitebeard's level. And I've talked about power scale and Yonko commanders and Yonko. I'm thinking Yonko are clearly a good tier above Yonko commanders. And we see that with the Payback War, really. Because Blackbeard is Yonko level. And like Marco maybe is out of rage or like whatever, he decides to go after Blackbeard, who had something to do with Whitebeard, Ace, and Thatch's death, right? So he goes for this revenge ploy and goes after Blackbeard and gets decimated there. So after that, he really just disbands the Whitebeard Pirates. Maybe he's just so discouraged. He's like, I don't want to see anybody else die anymore. And, you know, under his leadership, they lose another big war, and this big Yonko crew of the strongest man alive becomes this shell of his former self. So essentially, he just gives up on it. Even when he gets introduced, it says former 1st Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. So like the Whitebeard Pirates are pretty much not like a real thing in my opinion, like officially. I didn't think like they were like really disbanded yet, but seeing that like text box, that title box really kind of like confirmed that the Whitebeard Pirates were like really not a pirate crew anymore after they lost the war. And like I mentioned before, he couldn't even like chill anymore. Like they just try to stay safe, go into hiding, and then Weevil just pops up and starts taking them out anyway. So like Marco was probably like had this big burden on him, and he probably had given up on being a pirate and really just wanted to protect the last thing, the last memory of Whitebeard on Sphinx Island. So him coming back to action and getting into this another big war with like two Yonko, I think it took a lot out of him. I'm really excited to see Marco's character get developed a little more in his little like internal dialogue and his emotions and what he had to go through. That I really want to see fleshed out now that he's here. So that's one thing I definitely think will happen now Marco is here. That's one story element that I think Oda will definitely pursue. But where else does the story go from here? It's really hard to predict specifically, because think about how much is going on right now. We got Luffy, Kid, Zoro, and Killer wrecking havoc in the main hall, like during where the party is, and Queen is there as well. Chopper just saw Big Mom. The Toby Ropo, like Who's Who and Sasaki, they're all split in different directions looking for Yamato, who we don't know anything about. You got Frankie and Brooke doing their own thing. We don't know where they are. Jinbei and Robin are doing their own thing. We don't know where they are and who that mysterious figure following them is. Momonosuke and Kanjuro got their whole thing going on. And then of course you have Law and the other Scabbards and Denjiro leading different paths as well. So there's so much happening, we don't even know what Oda is gonna focus on next chapter. It could be very possible that Marco and Nekomamushi and Izo just aren't shown at all for a long time. So specifically where the war goes next, I have not a clue, but we could kind of try to predict this in a broader sense. So at this point in the war, I think it's about time for some early preliminary battles to really start happening. Small battles, small interactions are starting to meet up. We're already seeing that with the Luffy, Kid, Zoro, Killer crew, where Apu and Kid are clashing, and Apu has clashed with Luffy and Zoro. So I definitely think Apu and Kid will definitely keep fighting as like a preliminary battle. Maybe other Toby Ropo show up there as well. Queen could take action and get involved as well. I also think there's also going to be other meetups. Other Toby Ropo are going to find other Straw Hat members, and that kind of sets up preliminary battles between them. But these are all still going to be preliminary battles in my opinion. Maybe one or two battles are going to be the big battles. Like maybe Jinbei meets up with Sasaki, and that's like their main battle for the whole war. That's possible. Or maybe Robin meeting up with Black Maria, and that battle is like their main battle for the war. So like preliminary battles and some main battles here and there, but eventually it's gonna build up to the final war where Kaido shows up and Big Mom gets involved, and like, you know, Kaido shows up with the calamities and they're ready to take action and everyone's gonna kind of reconvene in one spot. That's like kind of what happens. We've seen this, like that's like a way Oda tells the story, like Enies Lobby, they all get separated, they start fighting with like different people, and then eventually they meet back up and like all one big chaotic battle breaks out. But once that climax of the war starts building up, I think there's gonna be a big tragedy beforehand. Now, Wano is a kabuki play, a 5-act kabuki play, and then the third act, there's supposed to be a tragedy. And in my opinion, it really hasn't happened yet. Some people might say like the Odin flashback was it. I don't think that was it, especially because the tone of the story is still pretty light right now. And I talked about in my video of how Luffy's gonna win the Wano War. They need a reality check. And before the climax kicks in with Act 4 and the big battle really takes place, I think the tragedy is gonna happen. It's gonna be a reality check for the Straw Hats. So that could be like one of the Scabbards dying, or a lot of people speculate Law possibly dying. It's gonna be heavy and it's gonna be like very, very hard hitting, and it has to be that for the Straw Hats to take this seriously and for the audience member to realize how strong Kaido and Big Mom is. And maybe after that, the Whitebeard Pirates show up and Marco shows up with like the Whitebeard crew, and that's like the second boost, and now the war escalates, the Straw Hats are taking it seriously. We're going to like a do or die battle in Act 4 before everything gets resolved in Act 5. Or maybe the Whitebeard Pirates were already involved in the war already and they showed up already, and like another force like the Grand Fleet shows up or something. So I'm really expecting to go like this. Preliminary battles start to happen, little battles, little meetups, and then eventually everybody starts to convene into one place, and Kaido and Big Mom show up, and they do something drastic to showcase their power, which causes that shift in tone and reality check, and then another like wave of help comes in, whether that be the Whitebeard Pirates or the Grand Fleet, and then you get into the final war where everybody's just attacking each other. Maybe more external forces show up later towards the end of the war, like Shanks and Blackbeard and Moria, but as for now, that's my prediction. And as for Marco, I definitely want to see him get more action and his story fleshed out a little more, like the history and what he had to deal with, and him fighting King. I really want to see that now. I know I was a big fan of Zoro fighting King, but now Marco is here, and the resemblance of their attacks and like two birds like having a dogfight in the air, like two Yonko commanders. How would you not want to see that? And for Wano in general, it's definitely going to be a super long arc. Like we're like almost 80 chapters in now, and it doesn't even feel like the halfway point, or the war itself hasn't really started yet. I don't know. I don't want to go as far to like say Mr. Morge's whole idea of like a 200 chapter arc, but it's definitely possible, like very likely, that it goes well over 100, maybe 150 or something like that. But what do you guys think? How do you think Marco's arrival changes the story and the war, and what direction do you think Oda will take the story with Marco here? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And as always, you want to keep up to date with when I'm posting new videos or doing live streams, because I'm doing that now. Might do one on Friday about the return to the Reverie. Keep an eye out for that. If you want to keep up to date though, hit that subscribe button. We are now on 221 subscribers as of this video. I just hit 200 like 2 days ago, and now we're like a fifth away to 300. So thank you guys for your support. Let's keep it going. Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to join the squad as well. Follow me on Twitter. I'm DKing4, and catch you guys next time. Peace.